stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could just take a second to keep Kevin Adelberry, who's a very important member of our community. He does a lot for our community. He was in a horrific accident on Route 8, and we just want to keep him in our prayers, him and his family in our prayers, our thoughts. Just take a couple of seconds, please. Thank you. We'll open it up to public comments. There will be 3 public comments. Call for public comment going once. Public comment going twice. Public comment going 3 times. Okay, thank you. Can I have approval for the minutes for the March 4th, 2025 regular meeting?
Make a motion to approve the minutes for March 4th, 2025.
Motion by Trish, second by Al. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0-0. Thank you. Next, we have a presentation of a proclamation making Seymour a Purple Heart community.
Hello, folks. How's everybody tonight?
Thanks, Dad. How are you?
Usually just stays quiet here a minute. Sit down. Sit down. This is Missy. She's my seeing-eye dog. My name is Dan Ettinger. I'm a retired major from the U.S. Army, Vietnam veteran, 2-time Purple Heart recipient. What we are talking about this evening and what you have decided to do is to read a proclamation making the city of Seymour a Purple Heart city. That puts you on what's known as the National Purple Heart Trail. And if you look under purpleheart.org and you follow down to Connecticut, you'll see all the cities that are currently in the on the Purple Heart Trail. In 1992, 2 individuals from Mount Vernon, the home of George Washington, decided that nobody knows what the Purple Heart is. What is it for? Why do people wear it? It's not an award. It's not something somebody did from bravery. What it is a received item, a medal that you can wear that your nation gave you because you were wounded in combat against an enemy of the United States. A lot of people receive these Purple Hearts posthumously. So if you can imagine in your mind a 10-year-old boy that's standing at a burn barrel, and his mother said, "Clean your room," and the teddy bear has to go. And so that little teddy bear, loss of an eye, doesn't have any stuffing left in it, its arms half torn off, and the little boy says to himself, "He was my hero. He was my security, and I have to let him go." Drops him into the burn barrel. Many years later, that same boy is now in a fight for his life in the jungles of Vietnam. And his friend, now his hero, his friend, his security, is dying. And he has to let him go. We don't have to forget. And so when you choose to do this thing tonight, you are now saying to those family members and those who have received the Purple Heart, we will not forget you. So with that, I have a plaque for you. I think you all received a coin.
We did.
It is a challenge coin called the Purple Heart, Military Order of the Purple Heart.
Thank you.
You'll have to read it for me because I can't read it.
The Military Order of the Purple Heart Special Recognition Award is bestowed with pride to the town of Seymour, Connecticut for your dedication and support honoring America's combat wounded veterans becoming a Purple Heart town, presented by the Patriot members of Chapter 1 Military Order of the Purple Heart, USA.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We also have brought for you this evening an actual reserve parking for Purple Heart combat wounded soldiers. That you can do that and put that in the place you want to. The history of Chapter 1, the first Purple Hearts chapter in the United States is right here in Derby, Connecticut. So Chapter 1 was started in 1932. It was started by World War I gentlemen. We also had the first national conference here in Ansonia. And so there's a lot of history behind Chapter 1 and behind the Purple Heart for the state of Connecticut. The first 3 individuals from George Washington in 1782 were given to 3 Connecticut soldiers for their actions during the war from the Continental Army. So that's a lot of history here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your acknowledgement of our Purple Heart recipients. And may you have a wonderful week.
We also have a proclamation for you.
Yes.
So if I could read it. It's a proclamation, a Purple Heart town, Seymour, Connecticut, March 18th, 2025. Whereas the residents of Seymour have great admiration and the utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have selflessly served their country, this community, and the armed forces. And whereas veterans have paid the high price of freedom by leaving their families and communities and placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas the Purple Heart was the first American Service Award or decoration made available to the common soldier and is specifically awarded to members of the United States Armed Forces who have been wounded or have made the ultimate sacrifice in combat with declared enemies of the United States of America. And whereas the mission of the Military Order of the Purple Heart is to foster an environment of goodwill among the combat wounded veteran members and their families, promote patriotism, support legislative initiatives, and most importantly, ensure that we never forget. Now therefore I, Amory Dragonis, the first selectwoman of the town of Seymour, do hereby proclaim the town of Seymour as a Purple Heart town and encourage the citizens of Seymour to show their appreciation for the sacrifice that the Purple Heart recipients have made in defending our freedoms, to acknowledge their courage, and to show them the honor and support they have earned. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll send that to national headquarters, and that'll come on to the national website as part of the Purple Heart Trail.
Major, I'd like to thank you for bringing this to the attention. My uncle, Edward Thomas Conroy, was from Seymour in World War II, and he died over in Germany, and he was a recipient of the Purple Heart, which I now have in my possession. I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for bringing this to light. Thank you.
You are so welcome. And we have with us one of your residents here.
Mr. Dean White.
Happens to be Dean White. Dean White's part of Chapter 1 and a Purple Heart recipient. And he lives here in your community and was the one that kept jabbing me to say, hey, you got to get this going in Seymour. So I live up in Torrington, which is a little bit further away. And thank goodness Dean came up to Torrington, picked me up tonight. Otherwise, I can't drive anymore. So if I do drive, it'd be very dangerous for people.
Dean, do you have anything that you would like to add? Please step up to, no? Okay. Any other select persons?
If I may.
Absolutely, Mr.
I usually don't do this, but my wife taught at Seymour High School for many years, and some 20, 25 years ago, she began bringing veterans in on D-Day into the school to talk to students. And the first time she did so, one veteran said, I can't talk about it. He participated in D-Day, but he handed her a Purple Heart container and said, would you tell the students what this means, what this is all about? And Karen opened the box and explained to the students, and the veteran had tears. The next year, the same veteran came back. He said, after being here last year, I can speak about D-Day now to the students. So we thank all the veterans and yourself. Thank you.
It is very tough to talk about, as you can probably tell. But we are still alive and we're still walking. And there are a lot of them that are not. So, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will add one thing. In case, no, real quick, there is what's called the Purple Heart Hall of Honor,
Yes.
and that is in New York, prior to West Point. It's right off the highway, I think. And it's not too far from here. If anyone's
Newenberg.
interested in going to visit it, it's a pretty nice deal and has most of all the people that are, it's a nice little facility.
And you can look that up on National Purple Heart Hall of Honor, and it'll tell you all the people that have been put into that particular Hall of Honor. And I would recommend that you put your relatives in as well. So thank you.
I want to thank you both for your service. I do. Can I approach you?
Sure. Don't bite.
I was worried about that, that's why. Missy's like, I don't bite.
Oh, okay.
Missy's like, what are you doing? I think Trish hit the switch because we have no signal.
I guess we'll be off like a herd of turtles.
Yes. Thank you. Hit the switch. Right. Okay. Okay. Discussion and possible action regarding the resolution for the 2024 Homeland Security EMPG grant. The EMPG grant is the grant that we get every year through Homeland Security, through DEMS. This is something our emergency management director has filed for. We actually did the last 3 years and are now finally caught up with receiving the grant money. So I just need a motion for us to go ahead and file it because we need to get it in by this week.
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Pat Lombardi, second by Teresa. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Set the annual town meeting for the budget for Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the Norma Drummer Room at Seymour Town Hall. Sorry about that. Can I have a motion to set the,
Make a motion to set the annual town meeting for the budget for Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the Norma Drummer Room.
motion by Trish, second by Al. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Set the budget referendum to be held at the Seymour Community Center from 6 o'clock a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. for the following dates. We'll do them one by one, or you want to do them all together? Thank you. Thursday, April 17th, 2025.
So moved.
Motion by Pat, second by Al. All in discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Thursday, May 1st, 2025, if needed.
So moved.
Motion by Trish, second by Al Bruno. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Thursday, May 15th, 2025, if needed.
So moved.
Motion by Trish, second by Al Bruno. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion, chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Thursday, May 29th, 2025, if needed.
So moved.
Motion by Pat, second by Al Bruno. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Can I have a motion to go into an executive session to discuss, we're going to go out of order, we'll go into B, discussion regarding the assessor's position, and then we'll go into A, property purchases, the discussion for regarding assessor's position. I'd like to invite the attorney, Rich Bertula, Kurt Miller, and Chris Pelosi.
Make a motion to go in executive session to discuss the assessor's position and the property purchase of 57 Bungay Road with the inclusion of our town attorney, Richard Baturla, Kurt Miller, and HR Director Chris Pelosi.
Motion by Trish, we said,
Seconded.
Rich?
And if I may, the basis for the going into executive session one concerns a property acquisition such
said-
that the discussion should not be done publicly because it might affect the value of
Okay.
the purchase, and the second is the personnel matter. So those are the two bases.
Okay.
Motion by Trish.
Second.
Second by Al. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion going to an executive session at 7:16. Please make sure the voice is off on that.
Yeah, just wait out there. No, we don't.
Motion to come out of executive session at 7:52 PM. And for the record, no actions or votes were taken during the executive session.
I have a motion to come out of executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Noes? Abstain?
I abstain.
Sorry. 4-0-1. Chair votes aye. No, 5-0-1. Chair votes aye. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion as to 9A on the agenda, a motion to authorize our first select woman to enter into a contract to purchase a portion of 57 Bungay Road.
So moved.
Motion by Al, second by Pat. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0.
I'd like to make a motion regarding 9B to authorize our first select woman and our HR director to enter into negotiations for the hiring of a tax assessor.
Second.
Motion by Al, second by Trish. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Discussion and possible action on House Bill 706, which implements several provisions, including one, creating an option for municipalities to adopt the modified depreciation schedules for motor vehicles. So, get to my notes. The state has changed the way motor vehicles are assessed. Currently, it's at a market value, and now they want to move to a formula-based. This will be done by reducing the values 5% in a year as the manufacturer's retail price. They're starting at 85%, lowering it at 5%. We want a motion to go into 90% instead of the 85. What they're doing, what the state's doing, it's a philosophical change. There's Senator, I think it's Senator Looney, who eventually wants it to do away with the motor vehicle tax, eventually putting it all onto real estate property and having the real estate properties owners pay the burden of the taxes. This legislation was passed on March 3rd, 2025. We didn't get the notification until midweek. I think it was the day I was presenting my budget. So this has caused some cost to us because we had to go back and rechange, as well as this will be the last year we'll get any money back from the state for motor vehicles. So we need to set a resolution that resolved that the Board of Select Persons approve the adoptions of the modified depreciation schedule as set forth in Section 2 of the House Bill 7067, effective for the 2024 assessments this year. This will authorize the town of Seymour to adjust the valuation of motor vehicles for the property tax purpose in accordance with the provisions contained in House Bill 7067. We'll get a motions and then we can go into discussion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Trish,
So,
second by Al. Discussion. Rich?
If I may, if the town, well, a couple things. The biggest factor here is it changes the depreciation schedule. If you don't do this, the town grand list is going to drop significantly. And as a result of that, this has become like a firestorm of sorts among the various municipalities to try to cushion the drop in the grand list caused by the depreciation schedule. Most communities in this area have adopted a resolution like what we have tonight, or in some instances, the exact same resolution. And I can tell you that as of today, a count done by the Milford tax assessor, 56 communities in our area have adopted this resolution. 29 aren't doing it this month, so we don't know what's going to happen in early April. The town has to give notice to OPM by April 15. So that's why there's I can't imagine 29 are waiting until after April 1st, but they are. And 17 are deciding later this week, including Milford and Danbury. So as of this date, the overwhelming percentage have been to adopt this resolution and to reduce the drop, if you will, in the grand list caused by the depreciation schedule in the current law. So this was done in by leadership up in the General Assembly, but it rapidly gained massive bipartisan support. And I think, I could be wrong about this, I think the state Senate voted unanimously for this, maybe with one senator absent. I think I heard that. So that's all I have.
The state may have voted unanimously on this, but speaking with the other mayors and first select persons on Sunday, and there are several of us that are really hurting because it couldn't come at a more worse time when we're all trying to put our budgets together, and they should have given us more time on this, like, hey, here's a heads up. If you're gonna do this to us, give us a couple of years so that we can get ready, and then rip the Band-Aid off, instead of trying to do it little by little. That's
Well,
gonna hurt us worse.
They weren't doing it little by little, they just did it. And then
Yeah.
what happened is the leadership heard from the Assessors Association what a dramatic impact it would have on the grand lists across the state. And as a result of that, they then did House Bill 7067. So instead of there being a 10% drop in the, there'd be like a 5% drop, basically. So they've softened it by doing it like this.
So this will help our grand list, correct?
This will hurt our grant.
It will hurt it,
No, it's gonna, if you don't do this,
It will hurt it.
it will be
correct.
hurt more.
So we do this, it helps our grand list.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
And what does it do to the average taxpayer?
As I understand it, the average taxpayer is going to pay less in car taxes. They would pay less if you don't do this. In other words, it would be, they say the average payment would be, I can't give you numbers. I don't know your numbers in terms of what the average bill is. Can you speak to this?
Yeah, so what it does is it shifts, as the first selectwoman said, the state of Connecticut has a philosophical change to the way they want to do municipal property taxes. So they wanted to take it off, it's been a long-standing thing, they want to move it off of motor vehicles and switch it over to real estate and personal property. So that was kind of the impetus of getting this going. Then they realized that they shifted too hard, too fast with zero notice.
Onto the realty side of.
Right, so what this does is it's not as bad.
Okay.
It's still bad, it's just not as bad. Because I think our grand list, if I'm remembering correctly, was down 15 million in cars because of this.
Okay.
So this is gonna bring, 5% of that back. I believe it's a little over $200,000 in tax revenue. But again, the other thing, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, you had another question. We're also dropping our motor vehicle mill rate from 32.4 now down to a new readjusted number.
Okay.
So people will pay less for their motor vehicle taxes simply because of that.
And I see something here with the veterans. Do you know what they're doing with that?
There's provisions for 100% disabled veterans.
Instead of the 90%? Was it
Yeah,
before?
no, we've made a decision just to leave that as is because it affects so few
Okay.
people in town that it's
Only
not.
two.
Yeah,
It's
Just
100% service
yeah,
connected disability.
yeah, that would have basically zero impact.
Okay.
So we figured just leave it as that is and let them receive the benefit that they deserve.
Okay. Thank you.
I have nothing.
I'm good. Thank you.
Trish.
I'm good.
Okay, with that, can I have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Nay, abstentions. Vote, chair votes aye, carries 6-0. Thank you. Okay. Discussion and possible action naming the room for Christopher Willis. As you know, last week, we received a letter from Chris Willis, asking that we name the room outside of, really the fire service room in name of his brother who many, many years of service in the fire department, and we suggested that we're gonna table it to this meeting.
I would like to make a motion. I would like to make a motion in accordance with the ordinance concerning the naming of facilities and areas owned by the town of Seymour that this board consider naming a room, a conference room in the community center in honor and memory of Christopher Willis, and that the board schedule a public hearing on a date to be decided this evening.
Second.
Motion by Fred, second by Trish. Discussion?
I would just name when you want to do the public hearing,
Public hearing,
just so you don't have to do a second motion, that's all.
Sure. I'll add it to the motion.
Just as a point, I guess, point of order, April 1st, you have one public hearing already.
what time's up? 6:30? 6:45.
6:45, I believe, so we would do this one, if you wanted to do it
6:30.
that quickly, at 6:30.
Yep. All right, so let's do the public hearing April 1st at 6:30.
I amend my motion to include a public hearing date of April 1st at 6:30 PM.
I'll amend my second for public
Motion.
hearing for April 1st at 6:30 PM.
Motion by Fred, second by Trish. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Discussion and possible action regarding the strategic planning committee. Again, Bob Finley is not here, but Trish is here. So, I don't want to keep tabling this. But we really should have
Yeah,
Bob
Bob
here.
Yep.
So, let's table this one again to the April 1st meeting. What?
The strategic plan is to be presented in April. If it's okay with the board, I'd like to do it on the 18th, just because of the size of the meeting that we're building up for April 1st. So I want to make sure that's okay with the board.
Okay.
Can we reach out to Bob and see if he'll be in attendance? And if not, when he will be, so we can nail this down rather
Yeah.
than continuing
I
to
thought he was
table
going to
it?
be here tonight, so.
This is
it's fine.
the third
Tabled it a
time.
couple of times.
Yeah,
This is
because
their
it's,
table.
at some point, we have to do it if
Right.
he's
Yeah.
really that busy traveling. I do agree he should be here, but
Discussion and possible action regarding creation of a Trails Committee. As you know, we have a Conservation Commission, and that Conservation Commission has been very busy, which we're ever so grateful for. So thank you. And through the Conservation Commission, they have made a trail, like a subcommittee of a Trails Committee. And what this Trails Committee does is they go out and they maintain the trails that are out there for the hikers. And they kind of want to put together a committee of 5 people, which is great. But I don't think that they should be appointed. I'm all for making a Trails Committee, a subcommittee of a Trails, of the Conservation for a Trails Committee. But I don't think we as a board should have to appoint them because they may come and they may go. And they shouldn't have to wait a meeting. If people want to help, then they should just be able to go and help and not just necessarily be a committee. It's almost like how we have the awards committee and the offshoots of the Board of Selectmen or the offshoots of a Board of Ed. They have their finance committee, they have other committees. So I think that might be a better way. This way they can control their membership and they have people coming and going as they please. But this board, we have to come together and vote on having a Trails Committee of the sub-part of the Conservation Committee.
they can't do, we really need to do that. They can't do that on their own as a
They cannot.
committee. All right,
Would
well,
they be a subcommittee of the conservation?
commission.
Yes.
It seems silly we have to
I
even
know.
intervene, honestly, but I'll make a motion for this Conservation Commission to have a subcommittee of Seymour Trails Committee.
Motion by Trish,
Second.
second by Teresa. Discussion. Rich?
Yeah, I had recalled looking at this. when this came up. If you just give me a second. Here it is. Yes, I did look at this, and this is my recollection. You do not want to do this as a subcommittee of the Conservation Commission. I know they asked to do it, but I don't think you should do that.
Why?
If you want to do a Trails Committee, we should create a new Trails Committee. Because again, this is for your Charter Revision Commission, but your charter is what your charter is. And your charter says the Conservation Commission has 5 members.
Yep.
So you do not want to make this a subcommittee of the Conservation Commission, because you are in effect expanding your Conservation Commission beyond what the charter says.
Okay, but then we go into, okay, so now if we make a Trails Committee, now we have to make sure that it has what it says in the charter. We have to have equal representation, we have to have 5 or 7 members, and what if they don't have 5 or 7 members? What if they have 10 members?
Can we allow them to do this just because they'd like to volunteer
Do we have to make a
as
committee?
volunteers to the Conservation Commission?
I don't know what they intend to do, but if they intend to meet and call themselves the Trails Committee, I get concerned about a whole bunch of things, like the Freedom of Information Commission, failure to post, failure to come up with a meeting schedule.
Or if they're working on property and if they get hurt?
Is there a spokesman for this group?
Yes, Jeff is here.
We're making
get 'em together and
volunteer,
find
like,
out
people who
exactly-
want to
He's right
volunteer
here.
and help the
Exactly
town.
what they
So
wanna do.
political.
Jeff,
Okay, would you state your name and address for the record?
Absolutely.
please?
Yep. Jeff Perillo, 129 South Main. I'm the advisor for the Conservation Commission, and it was my idea to create the subcommittee. I recall, town council, I do recall seeing in the statutes that the Conservation Commission can have a subcommittee. They can commit motions to a subcommittee, should that be the case. I don't know
The
if
subcommittee would be a committee of your commission.
Yes, an ad hoc.
Well, I don't think you can have a subcommittee that will go outside your 5-member body.
Understood.
That's what I'm trying to say, because of the charter. Not because I don't think it's a good idea, or I don't, but your charter limits, and you know what? Most charter and ordinances that create committees do have a number. You know, they say you have 7 members, you have 5 members,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. If you want to create a Trails Committee, we can create a resolution creating a Trails Committee, and you could have a member of the Conservation Commission chair the Trails Committee, and we could put that in the resolution. You wouldn't technically be a subcommittee,
Yes.
but
Understood.
you would be a separate, you wouldn't be the Conservation Committee, you'd be a separate committee, and you could have some overlapping membership. You could have 1, you could have 2, whatever the heck you guys want to do. But we can draw up a resolution to that effect, and if you can send an email to the CAO over here as to the types of things you want to do,
Yes.
we'll try to write that into the resolution.
Absolutely. You,
All right.
Like a mission.
Yeah,
yes.
the
Absolutely.
types of things you want to do with it.
And the other suggestion I had for the board, if the board didn't feel like doing that, there is in the town ordinances, I was doing some digging, and doesn't exist right now, but it is in the ordinances, a beautification commission. We could take over the beautification commission, work on trails as well as open spaces, pollinator gardens, etc. Things that beautify, it still falls under that umbrella.
If you're going to do that, you're amending an ordinance. Right? Your
No.
beautification commission isn't established, was it established by ordinance? Is that what you
It is
said?
in the ordinances.
It's
in
in
the
the ordinance
The
already.
ordinance or the charter? I believe it's in the
Beaut-
ordinances.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the ordinance already says the beautification commission takes care of, like, they go and they clean everything, they maintain everything,
Yeah.
they can weed, that's what the beautification commission was.
Oh, I thought you would have different duties.
No.
The Trails Committee wouldn't have different duties?
Well, the conservation commission really oversees the aquifers. And
I
not-
understand.
Actually, if I could interject, I was speaking with Mike Nargansky the other day, and he says that the aquifer is now going to be under inland wetlands and no longer conservation. He says that the charters, he says outdated. This is according to Mike. I'm just passing. I'm just the messenger.
I get it, but until the charter, and it's a conversation we just had a little while ago, until the
Absolutely.
charter's updated, we have to follow.
Absolutely.
Right, charter.
I understand.
Yep.
So, all right.
Can there be overlap if they're willing
Well-
to do that? Because I don't think that we really do we have a beautification commission?
We
I
don't.
do not
We
believe
do.
we.
We have one in ordinance, but we do not have an active
Active.
one.
So
would
you
be in
could do,
support
you
of
could
that
do
if they're
appointments to the beautification commission, I guess. You could do that if you want. I haven't looked at that ordinance. No one has asked me to ever look at that. And I'm happy to take a look and see what the duties are of the beautification
Because we make getting
commission.
volunteers so complicated, Rich.
Gotta have X amount of this party, X amount of that party. Crazy.
Can you look at that and then we can
Yeah. Yeah.
give this
In
gentleman
the
and the
meantime,
commission
send
what
your
they need?
email to Mr. Miller
Actually,
about
Kurt,
your mission
I
statement.
emailed Kurt actually the list of 5 people
we
that
have that.
already want to
But
be on this.
yeah, I have that right here,
It's in the back.
but I need the mission. Give us what your mission is, what you want to do. This way we can make sure that it covers, the beautification commission covers it, and we can go from there.
Yeah, I'll work with him.
I agree, the mission is important, you know.
Yeah.
And
And
beautification, is beautification in charge of, decorating flower pots?
Nope, that's culture and arts.
I know, but what does our ordinance say?
Listen, we don't stuff
Right,
culture and
Fred.
arts, just don't.
That's what I'm saying.
We need
We're
to look
saying
at the
the same
ordinance.
thing, the two of us.
Well, the ordinance committee can look at it.
Well, I just want to say thank you for having volunteers that want to help, and we are sorry that we're making it so
One's actually
hard.
right down the hall having his own meeting. He wants to be, he doesn't want to be on the board, but he wants to volunteer. So we do have a lot of people that want to help.
We're going to get
Not all
there.
of them
We're going to
want
figure it out.
Deal with the politics and the meetings and stuff like that, but they want to show up and they want to clean up, and so
Yeah.
yeah, we do
Most,
have
as
And
you
we're
can
happy
tell,
with
most
that.
of us don't like the politics either. We're just sitting here trying to get things done.
Thank you, Tricia.
Thank you, I think it's a great idea. We just have to do it the right way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes,
That's all we're trying
No,
to do,
I-
right?
I'm just looking at the duties of the beautification commission.
Yeah.
And it pretty much falls under what he's talking about. The purpose of the Beautification Commission shall be to advise the Board of Select Persons of beautification and conservation projects of benefit to the town, and to undertake same at the direction and under the supervision of the Board of Select Persons. The board shall consult with and cooperate with the Conservation Commission and the Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Agency as to such projects. So it kind of
It's
sounds
pretty
like...
good.
Yeah.
That's
All
not
right.
what I would have pictured for a beautification
So this
commission.
is what we'll do, is we'll take the 5 names that we have, and we'll put them in for the April 1st meeting to have them appointed to the beautification.
How many members, Teresa? You have that in front of you?
I think it was 5. They're staggered,
Staggered
Memberships.
terms.
oh, that's a different one. 5 members.
There you go.
Initially, 1 member shall be appointed for a term of 1 year, 2 for 2 years, and 2 for 3 years.
Okay.
So that's our staff.
Subsequent, all members shall be appointed for a term of 3 years.
And if
Okay.
I may, if you folks think that the name of the committee should be changed, bring that forward to us. We could change it by ordinance.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll
If
run
you
that
don't like
by
the
him.
name beautification, you want it to be something more conservation sounding.
But there won't be a delay in terms of appointing folks.
Right,
Right, but we'll just name
Yeah.
them the
right.
beautification commission.
We could always change the name.
We could change it to Trails Committee.
Just tut-tut, because spring is coming.
To protect the innocent, absolutely. Change it in to protect the innocent. So, so April 1st meeting,
Mhm.
that's our next meeting,
After the public hearing.
at that 7 o'clock meeting. We'll have it to the agenda to add you guys, we'll have it on the appointments to add these 5 names to the Beautification Commission.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we
you.
have a motion
Thank you.
though, don't we?
We do.
I'll rescind my motion
I'll
for
rescind
this
my second.
evening.
Rescinded by Trish, second by Teresa. Thank you. Okay. Discussion and possible action on the removal of appointed committee member per section 11.4 of the town of Seymour Charter. So as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, you know, we had a time to reflect on Kevin and, you know, offer up our thoughts to be with Kevin. As I said, Kevin Adelberry was on our Charter Revision Commission, and he was in a horrific accident and will not be able to fulfill his term on the Charter Revision Commission. So we as a board need to vote to remove him from the Charter Commission, and then under appointments, we'll appoint somebody else to take his place. So can I have a motion to remove Kevin Adelberry from the Charter Revision Commission?
Make a motion to remove Kevin Adelberry from the
Seconded.
commission.
Motion by Trish, second by Pat. Discussion.
As hard as it is, it needs to be done. And just clarification, it's Atterbury.
What did I say?
We both have
Adelberry.
an L in there, yeah. Atterbury.
Adelberry. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Adelberry.
Do we need to state the reason?
That's where I was going, Fred.
Well, I can read it into the record if you'd like. Section 11.4, removal of appointed official. One of the reasons is inability to serve.
What I was
Right.
going. I was just reaching.
For his inability to serve.
I'll amend my motion to include for his inability to serve.
I will amend my second.
Amended by Trish. Second amendment was by Pat. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm torn on voting on this. I would like to wait till Kevin were to recover to see what's going on. But I understand what's going on. I'm going to vote yes.
Okay.
I'm just torn on it.
I think we all are torn on it because we don't want to, but we have to be able to move a commission forward as well.
And I think the commission is such a short timeline that it's working in, that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, so that's why I'm voting yes.
Kevin was just so enthusiastic about being a member of this commission, and
Yes.
I'm
That's a shame what happened.
just torn.
Yes. All right. Chair votes aye, motion carry. Oh, have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Noes? Abstention. Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Appointments. To appointments, Joanne Sardo, Charter Revision, replacing Kevin Atterbury. Appointment upon completion. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Teresa, second by Al Bruno. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. John Hatfield, Team Inc., board member, replacing, he's himself, he's a reappointment, expires 1/1/2028. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint John Hatfield to the Team Inc.
Motion by Fred,
Seconded.
second by Pat Lombardi. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Noes, abstention, chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Paul Tontini for the Western Connecticut Tourism District. He is reappointed. His term ends 1/1/2028.
So moved.
Motion by Pat Lombardi, second by Al Bruno. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Noes, abstention, chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Crystal Richards, Culture and Arts Committee, she's replacing Kelly Wrong. We have the letter of resignation in the file. Appointment, expiration date is 12/1/2025. Have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Teresa, second by Pat. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion, noes, abstention, motion carries 6-0. Oh, hope I don't care what this name. Matthew Malberti, Planning and Zoning Commission alternate, replacing, there's so many people that came and going on that one. It's an appointment, expiration 12/1/2025. Have a motion?
Make motion.
Motion by Teresa, second by Al. Discussion?
Is he just
So,
fill in for somebody?
Lambert,
or-
Lampert?
so, yeah, Lampert. So Lampert was replaced, Mary Ann Robinson was the
Robinson.
alternate. From Mary Ann, it went to Lampert. From Lampert, it went to Mr. Malberti.
Thank you.
And the commission needs to have people show up to the meeting so that we could
Yep.
get stuff done.
Gotcha.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Noes, abstention, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Transfers, there's no transfers in your packet. Tax refunds and abatement in your packet. You'll see the tax refunds and abatement put back by Christina. Please review for any,
Make a motion to approve as presented.
motion by
Second.
Trish, second by Al. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Noes, abstentions. Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Correspondence. In your email, you'll see a letter to Mr. Mark Vitale. They're authorized to sign on behalf of Seymour for the real estate matters and acquisition. A letter from Kelly Wrong for the Seymour Central Arts Department, as well as an updated, as well as can be, as we sat down for almost 3 hours with the town clerks, trying to make sure everybody's name was correct, party affiliation was correct, and the sworn-in date is correct, of boards that are there, and the vacant spots. Okay, so that's correspondence. Public comment. Is there any public comment? Public comment going once, twice, 3 times, no public comment. We'll go to select persons, public comment. We'll start with Patrick.
Nothing really for this meeting, other than I was delighted to see that the astronauts are back and safe on ground here. It's remarkable for the amount of time that they have spent up there, so I know we're all delighted to hear that news. Thank you.
Trish?
I just wanted to thank citizens for inviting some of us on the Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, to their dinner Saturday night. It was terrific, and I enjoyed sitting around and speaking with everyone, and then not political event. So I had a very good time. Thank you. That's all I have.
Al?
Yeah, I'm happy to see the board act on the Purple Heart community tonight and have our speakers here. I've had friends and family serve, so I'm grateful for that. The other thing is the Trails Committee. My wife and I love to hike, so I'm glad that you guys are going to clean up some of those trails. And it's just great to get outside. It's really good for your mental health and to get out there and breathe the air. And spring's here, so we like to hike in the winter too, but spring's here, so it's a great time to hit the trails. So thanks for doing that.
Fred?
I have nothing to contribute. I have comments tonight.
I appreciate you spending 3 hours on this list, but you might want to just go through it again. I'm sure some of these longtime Republicans wouldn't appreciate being a Democrat unless they've switched. They very might well have switched over to being a Democrat, but there's a few of them on there that are listed wrong. I'll take them, though. Take them on myself.
And I would just make one comment, because I just happened to turn to this page, and I'm looking at fire commissioners, okay? And fire commissioners are on staggered terms. They don't all expire at the same time.
Well then, Stephen, can you sit with Leanna again and make sure she has the correct, because these are all the town clerk's office.
Okay, this came up once before, and I sat down with all the individuals involved, and I thought it was corrected, but evidently there's been some slippage, so we need to get it corrected.
All right. She's gonna have to sit down with the registrar of voters too,
Be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because I think she just went through things. All right.
And then if you could look at the Economic Development Commission or page on the on our town website, it still has Sheila O'Malley listed as the
We're in the
contact?
process of updating the
Okay.
websites.
Thank you. And then is there a process when town hall is locked for meetings? I know Conservation Commission had a meeting last month, and the doors are locked and they couldn't get in. They wound up, I believe, going down to Zoe's to have their meeting.
So I
Who do they
think.
contact?
Who can they contact?
It was a scheduled meeting.
Myself or Tim Connors, I'd assume. We'll get somebody here. But there should be a custodian around.
Yeah.
So there's a nighttime custodian.
And if it's on the schedule, then they should be looking at, the custodian should be looking at the schedule to ensure the doors aren't locked. But
If you could check into that.
Yeah, myself or Tim.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then I just had a question. How many new positions are we adding into the budget this budget cycle? Do you know?
we added the floater was new. The Tim Connors, no. Fire marshal,
You have the floater, the fire inspector,
yeah, that's it.
and converting the payroll clerk to full-time and taking on responsibilities for HR as well.
Oh, yeah, well, that was in the budget already, though.
And how did we come up that we needed the fire inspector, a new position? Because I haven't heard anything about that, and when I look back through the fire commissioners' meetings, I don't see any
That
mention
came
of that.
through Tim Willis when he presented his budget,
Okay.
and through the HR director.
All right. And then I had concerns this past week at the Board of Finance meeting. Us as a board at our last meeting went through with Human Resources about having a $10,000 stipend for our emergency management director. And at last Monday's meeting, when the Board of Finance were doing their expenditures, they talked about doing the $10,000, which was great. However, on the Wednesday meeting, the chairman said that he thought it over and he thought that it should be a $30,000 stipend. I just feel that all that work that we put into it, having our HR director going out and giving us, he told us between $5,000 and $15,000 for a town our size. He was the one that recommended $10,000. I don't know. I don't know if we have a say in it, but it just seems like all the hard work that we put into coming up with that number was just thrown by the wayside.
So I did look into that, because I had the same questions. So I did look into it, and what it is once we present the budget to the Board of Finance, it's their budget, and they can change any number that they see fit.
Well, I would encourage all the board members that voted for this to speak out at the Board of Finance meetings to let them know that, we did our due diligence. We came up with that number, was a fair number. So I don't know why they decided to raise it up. So, and then just finally, lastly,
If I can ask, I don't mean to interrupt, when you were at that was that at a meeting that you saw that?
last Wednesday, yeah.
Were you able to have public comment at the
Yes,
end to ask?
and I did.
You did, but
Well,
public comment
public
they
comment.
can't answer, and
Yeah,
nobody approached
but I
you
did
after the
bring up,
meeting,
and
right?
I read
Okay.
our minutes, what we put in there, so.
Okay,
They
thank
were
you.
aware of it.
Sorry to interrupt.
No
Thank you.
problem. And then I know you have the date, I think it's March 25th, the walk. This
It's
is.
in my notes,
this-
yeah.
I'll let you speak about it, but everyone should get out there and get a little hiking.
If I may follow up to what was just discussed, even if the position is financed or appropriated $30,000, we could always hire at a lesser amount.
It's not a hired position, it's a stipend position, so
Well,
we don't
it's a
hire.
stipend.
So if the Board
I
of
used the term
Finance,
hire in a loose way.
right, if the Board of Finance puts it at 30 and the budget passes, then that position is 30, but we could always pay less.
We could always hire at a lesser, or fill it at a lesser amount.
We could. Yes, absolutely.
And you can do it by agreement with the individual signing an agreement with the town.
Okay. On to Selectwoman's notes. Oh, I'm sorry, Teresa.
I'm done, thank you.
Okay. Bungie, we're gonna do with the roads first. I kind of have a long list. Roads, Bungie Road updates. Thank you to B&B Engineering for the Bungie Road presentation. Copies will be at the community center and library, and we're also going to be sending them to Bungie Elementary School, Seymour Middle School, and Seymour High School. The presentation is pinned on top of the Office of the First Selectwoman's face page, as well as our town website, and a copy has been sent to Voices, so it's in the paper. So I think we've covered all our pages on far as getting out the construction on Bungie Road phases. Construction, the first construction meeting will be held on Thursday. They tagged all the trees on Bungie Road that are needed and will be removed. A little of half utility poles have been replaced. B&B sent out a first monthly update to everyone who signed up. We put the newsletter up on our Facebook page as well as our town webpage, and they had more residents who saw that and signed up to get the weekly notification or the monthly notification. We will be posting all the updates on our Facebook page as well as town websites. The first construction is set to be at the Great Hill Road, Brookfield, and Brookfield is, when we talk about the Brookfield Road, we're talking about the back of the Seymour Middle School by the field. That's how far they're going down to. They're going to mill and repave that section first. In the middle of April, the one-way route will begin from Balance Rock up to the high school, or up to the high school, from high school down to Balance Rock, whichever way you're driving. Ross Drive will be open from 6:30 a.m. to 7:10 a.m. to allow the high school traffic to go in that way, and then the gates will be open again at 2 o'clock p.m. Construction will be done from approximately 7 a.m. to approximately 4:30 p.m., which means they'll be working on the roads no earlier than 7 a.m. and hopefully no later than 4 p.m. And yes, trash and recycling will be affected on that week of being picked up, so everybody's gonna have to put their trash out the night before, because the trash companies will be coming before 6 o'clock in the morning. They're most likely gonna start 4 or 5, so they're not getting in the way of school buses and the construction company. Got that. Route 67 improvements, the area is not done. They are now coming down the road to expand and widen it. There will be 4 lanes total, 2 going up and 2 coming down. The 2 going up are gonna start at Stop and Shop and go all the way up to Old Drive. And then coming down, it's gonna be 2-lane roads coming down on the Ed's Cleaner Seymour Lumber side. They're actually moving the road over some. So there won't be any lane closures as this is going on, but they'll be switching lanes over. They'll be moving them over. They're set to end the construction, earliest is July, the latest is September, weather being the big obstacle. In April, they will be sandblasting and painting the bridge across from Allen's Plumbing. The Main Street beautification, we're waiting on the state DOT approval. The holdup was with the stoplight in front of the train station at the corner of Bank and Main. The DOT does not believe that the stoplight is needed there, and they want to make it a stop sign coming out of Bank Street. From Zoe's to the Strand, they're going to be repairing and replacing, installing new sidewalks and curbing. And there will be, in the area in front of Kiss and Crossing is like a big driveway now. It's actually going to be a sidewalk with a cut in for the driveways. There will be new curbing, brick sidewalks, and painted parking stalls. The changes being made will not be affected by the DOT train station. Route 67, new lights and crosswalks are being installed. Route 67 in North Street, progress in Route 67, over by Henny Penny and the Route 8 northbound entrance, and the Miller McCary Funeral Home and Clarity's Plaza are installing new lights and updating walk controls over. So all those lights and crosswalks will be updated because the state owns those. However, over onto Maple and Pearl, a traffic engineer is currently conducting a traffic study. Once the report is received, I will inform the board and determine whether we are replacing and updating the lights and crosswalks, or if the survey states we need to put a stop sign. Of course, all this must go through the police commissioners, as they are the street and parking authority, so they will let us know what they need to do, and then it will come to this board. Skokerat, a study will be conducted on that road because all town roads have a speed limit of 35 miles per hour. However, when Chatfield School was put in, so many years ago, they never made that a school zone, safety zone, where the speed limit is 25. So it is a 35 mile per hour, so they're doing a traffic study so that we can send it to the state to mark that area as a school zone and mark 25 miles per hour.
We need a study to let them know it's a
Yes,
school
we
zone.
do.
Again,
Again.
love how slowly we work just to cross our T's and dot our I's for dumb
Make this
reasons.
stuff up. Economic update, the Claritas Plaza, another business in the plaza opened this week. The Village Coffeeers is back open, and we're excited for them. Hallmark and Card Store is waiting on their inspection. The dry cleaner was sold, and a new owner is replacing and updating the machines in there, so we're waiting for them to open up. They posted over the weekend that they're opening soon. Ocean State is doing a total remodel, and we heard around May is when they will be opening up, and the diner is moving along, and they're also looking at May. The UPS store. I know. Everybody loves the UPS store. We're waiting on corporate, apparently, to give the okay as to what can go in there, the floors, the walls, and I guess the boxes all have to meet corporate
Regulations.
thank you, requirements, right? So hopefully they will be opening up soon. Hopefully. Maybe. Possibly. Tri-Town, we heard there's a daycare center going in there between Subway and the hairdressers. I made the same face, Teresa. The downtown area, a new antique shop went in across from the Giggling Pig where the old Reiki Spa was. A bodega opened next to Hair by Lynn. It sells candy, chips, vapes, and other items. I had to figure out what a bodega was before I had to use that word. And after extension renovation, the Dunkin' Donuts at the Seabird Plaza will be opening in the upcoming week. On the Route 34 area, Dock 34 will be opening in April. Housatonic had planned to open around March 15th, but is a little behind. They're still cleaning. And they stated they'll be opening no later than April 5th. Even though he is selling, he's still opening up to run his business. So they will be opening up soon. Newport Academy is leasing the former Olive and Oil building, which is now going to be the campus's dining area. The main house is now up and running, and they hope to have the main campus up by fall of this year. The building in town updates, the HVAC at the police department is underway. Earthwork is performing the works. They just got their 50% payment up front. The community center roof is done. The elevator repair is underway, and we expect completion by the end of April. They are currently holding bingo in the gym, so everyone can still be together. And there's a porta potty in there to meet the ADA compliance of having a restroom for those that cannot do the stairs. Summer camp starts on June 23rd. They will be relining the parking lot at the community center. We now have an electronic board at the town hall where the cork board was. It shows the calendar, meetings, and important announcements and upcoming events. It scrolls. Computer upgrades are happening at the community center. Their computers are older than 5 years. We are working on having a tax collector and the town clerk to accept Apple Pay and Venmo as payments for taxes and license. We'll be putting QR codes on the tax bills so your phone can actually scan the bill and pay the bill securely. And if the Apple Pay and Venmo work there, then we'll look at expanding it to other departments. Soon people will be able to apply for their marriage, fishing, and dog license online through the clerk's office and pay for it online, and then they'll just mail it to you. And events, this Sunday is the This Is Me inclusion and community walk up at the high school. The event takes place at the Seymour High School. Registration begins at 9:30 a.m. Kickoff and opening remarks are at 10:30. Closing remarks are at 12:30. And that's where it ends, and we hope to see you all there. Just a reminder, as the weather gets warmer, we're seeing more and more kids out playing. Please, drive carefully around town, and if you are the ones that are walking the dogs or riding your bike, please make sure you have reflective clothing on, and remember to always walk against the traffic, not with the traffic. And that is all I have. So with that, I will close the meeting at 9:40. 8:39.
I was like, what? What time is it?
I moved